Their goal is probably to make it so vicious and terrible that it kicks off a race war. And you're going to cause people to basically pack up and go full tribal, and then it's going to get real interesting. All right, everybody, Terrence Popp here with another episode of Live from the Lair. And today I got some good news and I got some bad news. So I think we're going to start off with the good news first. Well, as it stands now, I believe we are in 7 weeks of violent rioting taking place across the country with the, attacks and murder and shootings going through the roof, especially in blue cities and states. And by blue, I mean Democrat. As we all know, we've probably heard in the media that Trump has deployed federal law enforcement to Portland, Oregon, to help enforce the law. Now, what you're not hearing in the news is this, that yes, these are federal law enforcement individuals from various federal law enforcement agencies. And they are operating in unmarked vehicles and are not carrying on their outward appearance their names, because despite the fact that doxing is not allowed, it seems to be happening a lot to police officers, judges, and other law enforcement individuals, putting their families and homes at risk. That's number one. Number two, a lot of these federal agencies were called out there on the fly and thus were not logistically properly prepared. So a lot of these unmarked vehicles are simply budget and other rental car agency vehicles, which the government rents all the time. Also, I'm not going to say that's a bad thing, because if you're in an unmarked civilian vehicle that doesn't really look like a typical cop car, you don't get a lot of attention. Now, what they are doing is they're enforcing up to 1 block away from federal property located within that city. Okay, they are arresting people for defacing, destroying federal property. And some of the people who are being detained long-term have warrants for their arrest, because a lot of these individuals don't seem to realize that they are identified on camera. Their faces have been run through facial recognition software, and once you do those two things, you have their picture, you have their name, it's really easy to get a warrant, and these individuals are being arrested. Some of them in the area are being detained and questioned and searched, which you are allowed to do once an area has been deemed a riot. The media is calling these peaceful protesters, but let's face it, they are not. They're destroying, burning, they are throwing rocks and fireworks at police, and they have been told to leave many times in the past 50 some odd days, and they are continuing to keep doing the bullshit. So I don't have any sympathy for them. Any police agency has the right to detain you for up to 72 hours. All right. Typically, you will be arraigned in that time frame and either charged, offered bail, and so forth. Now, I don't think this catch and release bullshit is flying with the federal government. Unlike some of the Democrat liberal cities, such as Portland, some cities in California and New York City. So what I say is Trump is doing 3D chess is simply this. The people want this to stop. They want law and order enforced. Trump is offering that to these individuals, and they are basically balking at this and wanting it to stop at both the state and federal levels. So basically, what Trump has done is forced the left and the Democrats to show their hand. They don't want order restored. They don't want the lives of the citizenship of this country to be safe. Okay? They want this pandemonium to continue until the election or the government is overthrown. So that's neither here nor there. All right. So, with that being said, this game of 3D chess that's being played, they're being driven right into the hands of the Republicans and Trump, which, historically speaking, when there has been large amounts of unrest, people flock to the Republicans for safety and security. So that does not bode well for the Democrats, or the socialcrats as I call them.
Oh, thank God you're here!
Not So Sane Man's Guide to the Multiverse takes a former cop collecting alimony and drops him into a world of insanity for shits and giggles.
What the hell are you doing with the money I'm giving you every month?
Salsa. Oh, booze and hookers.
If you're ready to laugh at the absurdity and cringe at the reality, click on the link in the description to watch Brett William Mauser's Not So Sane Man's Guide to the Multiverse right now. All 7 episodes are free to watch on Amazon Prime.
We need some backup.
All right, now a lot of you have asked me, since I've done some videos in regards to upcoming Civil War, what I think it's going to look like. Do I think it's going to look like the Civil War of the 1800s? Well, not exactly. There will be a beginning stages of this conflict, which will be incredibly costly, bloody, brutal, and hard to predict, except for this. China has been caught smuggling weapons and other various forms of equipment into this country. I saw it on a couple of news feeds that I monitor. I haven't really saw it in the big media out there. It's not a surprise, but that's going on. Okay, now this isn't like the semi-automatic AK-47s of the mid to early 90s. This is like real war bullshit here, like machine guns and other various top-tier shit. You don't get that stuff for hobbyists or people who just want to defend themselves. These are weapons of war. Okay, make no mistake. Number 2, Black Lives Matter, or I refer to them as burn, loot, and murder, has been getting hundreds of millions of dollars funneled into their hands from up to 270 U.S. corporations. Now, I don't know if they're willingly doing this, trying to fund an enemy army in the United States, or they've just been duped into thinking that Black Lives Matter is something that it isn't, or I don't know what's going on there. Now, I do think that the boards of these 270 corporations need some scrutiny and oversight, and I'll get to that in a moment. All right, let's see. Antifa and Black Lives Matter is being run and trained by Marxists, as per insums that are coming out to various law enforcement agencies and other news feeds that I monitor. Okay, now that is also really not being talked about in the media. Again, the media is full left on this, and it's my belief that we've lost them. That they're completely communist, Marxist, and to disregard anything they say. At best, it's propaganda. At worst, it's just a lie. Okay, so that is what it is. Now, Antifa slash Black Lives Matter have gone on the record. This is not a secret. This has been covered in the media. I've also seen it in Insums and on some of the websites I monitor. Okay, they have stated that their goal is the complete destruction and overthrow of the United States with a replacement government which falls in line with either socialist, Marxist. In my opinion, they're basically the same thing. Okay, now in this new model, white people will be executed. Okay, churches will be burned, and any wrong thought crime or thought or bad think is punishable by death. All right, now if you guys have been up to speed on this, this is happening in China as we speak with the Uyghurs, some of the Muslims, actually all the Muslims. There's a reason why they have somewhere between 60 and 120,000 organ transplants a year there in that country, and other people from other countries are going there for that purpose. Okay, these aren't being voluntarily, bought and sold. These are coming from people who are either forcibly having them removed or executed. I'm just putting that out there. This is incredibly evil horseshit that's going on, and it's coming here, newsflash. It is already here, and it's growing. All right, number 5. What will this look like? Okay, well, number 1, I've been to Iraq. I've studied the war that took place there and the insurgency that they fought there. I was in the loop for a lot of the insums for some of my units that went to Afghanistan that I trained up, and I monitored their progress over there. Okay, it is going to be decentralized and asymmetrical in the beginning, and let me explain how this is going to work. All right, we have something here called Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, etc. Plus, we have certain encryption programs floating around out there that cannot be cracked by the NSA that we know of. We started seeing this in the early 2000s, a phenomena known as flash mobs. That's where, a group of people or individuals receive a group message. Everybody who wants to participate, be in a certain area at a certain time, we're going to do this. Some of them were dancing or pranks or so forth. But let's just get a little deeper into that. Let's say these individuals have weapons of war provided to them by China, which they were caught doing, and they were told to be in an area at a certain time, armed to the teeth. They amass. One individual's there who knows what's going on. He issues orders and they execute an attack. With that in mind, they can hit virtually anywhere. Barring closed posts on military bases, there really isn't anywhere within the United States that they can't strike you. And this will happen a lot in the beginning. Their goal is probably to make it so vicious and terrible that it kicks off race war. And you're going to cause people to basically pack up and go full tribal, and then it's going to get real interesting. All right. This whole flash mob concept will be very effective, especially in cities and states where they have defunded the police or gotten rid of them outright, because who will stop them when this happens? There will be no first line of defense. Hell, there won't even be a second line of defense. No warning whatsoever. People just show up in your neighborhood, maybe in front of your house, burn to the ground with you in it, and you're powerless to do anything about it. This will be bad in the beginning, and a lot of people are going to lose their lives, but there is an inherent flaw to this, and that is there are a lot of people in this country who are patriots. There's a lot of people in this country who are the silent majority. There's a lot of people who are very religious, i.e. Christian, and so forth, who really are not going to take kindly to being targeted in such a manner. And they're going to pack up. Now, Black Lives Matter, they're black, most of them. So when it comes down to that, there's really nowhere they can hide. It just is what it is. It's us versus them. They started it. It's going to get ugly, and it's going to end badly for a certain group of individuals who make up 13 to 16% of the population. Okay, now I'm just stating the facts here. I don't want this to happen. I really don't. But as a tactical thinker and someone who studied warfare since he was 13 years old and did it for a living for 33 years, that's the way I see it unfolding. Now, NATO will probably show up. Maybe our neighbors to the north will show up, and from the south will come into here. That will make everything more dicey and complicated. But at the end of the day, one side's going to win. And when that happens, God help anyone who stuck their fingers or nose into our business from outside the borders of the lower 48. Because retribution will be swift and absolutely brutal. I can guarantee you that. We have never, ever been fans of outside interference, and it is what it is. Here's another thing I find relatively interesting. They're tearing down all of the Civil War statues and monuments. Okay, they've banned the rebel flag from all military institutions and areas, and federal buildings and so forth. Got it. I kind of understand that. I personally think that they should be voted down and moved into a museum. There's a process that they should follow to have that done correctly, but that's neither here nor there. Now, at the same time this is happening, we have this NFAC individuals are demanding a piece of their own territory seceded from the Union. That has already happened once, and it resulted in the deaths. 850,000 people, and with an untold amount of property damage and misery that, quite frankly, hasn't been even healed to this day. It failed then, and this will fail again. That's just plain and simple. Now, a lot of people are like, oh my God, what can I do about this? Okay, how can I get safe? Get the fuck out of the cities. That's number one. Number two, you need to be your own first responder. All right, get up to speed on first aid, how to apply a tourniquet, field dressing, treat for shocks, give yourself an IV, sew yourself up, be your own medic. And number two, carry a goddamn firearm. Have a pistol on you at all times. Keep a rifle in your car. All right? You never know when it's going to kick off. Speaking from experience, individuals who are not used to being on a two-way rifle range do not perform well when their targets are shooting back at them. Now, I hate to talk about a subject like this, but it's the truth. Okay, this reality is in our future, or quite possibly could be in our future if we take the wrong steps. So you might want to listen. Next you could do, organize. Listen, one person is just one person. Say you have 10 people on your block who are on the same page. Well, guess what? If your house gets attacked, you have individuals on your same block who can give you covering fire. All right, who can put fire on individuals in the street in front of your house. Okay, and you can do the same for them. Or you can go down there and give them first aid, help them put out their house, basically be a good neighbor and take care of your neighborhood and organize. Number two, join a militia. All right, now I know the left has painted these guys as a bunch of right-wing crazies. They're not. All right, granted, there are some out there that are crazy. Most of the people have identified those by now, and you can steer clear from them. But a large majority of them are constitutionalists. They believe in this country. They're patriots. It'll take some time for them to, get into one area. Being part of an organization of 100, 500, 1,000 people is way better than being by yourself or just 10. Now, I'm sorry it has to come down to that, but it is what it is. We are living in very interesting times. Okay? There's the reason the Chinese call that, the curse of curses. Because, when you live in interesting times, bad shit is afoot. Last but not least, get prepared for the worst. Come up with a plan. If you need to get your family out of Dodge, and you know people who live, out of the area or out of harm's way, call them up, figure out a way that if shit hits the fan, you could throw them in your car, your minivan, your truck, what have you, and roll up there and drop them off. Don't show up there, empty-handed. Have food, water, medicine, weapons, stuff that, they will need as well as you. Because if you don't do that, you're just a burden. And most people with 2 brain cells to rub together don't deal with burdens well. All right. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this briefing and I didn't scare you too much. But to be honest, this shit scares the shit out of me. Take it easy.